So let's take a look at legacy application utilization. So for most of our customers, legacy applications are de rigueur. It's what they deal with day in, day out. And in fact, they've got so much wrapped up inside these legacy applications that more often than not, they are in no position to make changes to them. Now, this poses a very interesting conundrum when we talk about preparing for cloud. You see, most customers, they're going to have legacy applications set in stone inside of their existing data center. And then they're going to have all of their new applications being built out inside with their cloud provider. For most of them, they're fine with where they are with the new applications. After all, those applications have been built for cloud, on cloud platforms, and they really don't see a need to change. Additionally, when it comes to their legacy applications, they're probably feeling the same way. However, there's some stopping points, some potential points of block or fail when we look at legacy application integration as customers progress through their journey into cloud or specifically into hybrid. One that is all too common is administration. Let's say that we've got Bob the admin over here. Bob wrote a legacy application some years back, but Bob, he no longer works here. And so nobody knows how this application works anymore. But the problem gets thicker. This legacy application now needs to scale. Turns out Bob was a genius. And Bob developed an application that's going to drive this corporation to all new heights, but he was just ahead of his time. And so now we have to figure out a way to take this application and port it out into the cloud so we can create greater scale, greater geographic efficiencies, and have it be more consumable by more people. But there's a problem. For most cloud providers, they can't deal with a legacy application. Again, because everything they've built is based upon cloud readiness and cloud readiness only. So there's a difference between being cloud ready and being cloud only. It's a very, very big distinction here. Now, let's say that we have an issue that goes the opposite direction. We've got an application that we thought was going to just change the world in cloud, but turns out it's not. The application actually needs to be ported back into an on-premise solution. Maybe for geography, maybe for resource contention, maybe it just wasn't successful enough in the cloud. It could be a number of things. Or maybe it was successful and they're wanting to move an application or a workload back down into their on-prem data center because now it's ready for production. Could be a number of different things that are making this happen. This too can be an issue. Why? Because a lot of cloud platforms and on-premise platforms don't play well together. Now, this isn't to say that you can't port workloads from one place to the next, but unless you have a common infrastructure beneath them, you're going to have all sorts of changes and specifics that need to be addressed, things like file names and extensions and formats, etc. And these things can become very problematic when you talk about doing them in scale. But when we look at vCloud Air and vSphere are all based upon vSphere as an infrastructure. So whatever they have on-premise, they're also going to have off-premise and have the ability to have those workloads function equally in both formats. Because inside of vCloud Air, you're getting a vSphere data center for rent. That means all of the functionality that you would normally have, high availability, fault tolerance, this is all built in and it doesn't cost extra. But it also means something very important when we look at the little conundrums that we proposed. Let's look back at that legacy application that needed to move out in the cloud, but it couldn't. Maybe it was built on DOS. Maybe it was built on Windows 98. Who knows? Because in vCloud Air, we have a vSphere data center for rent, that workload is going to become welcome out in the cloud. Additionally, because we're using vSphere in vCloud Air and on-premise, those workloads that might have to move from the cloud back are also going to be welcome. This means now that when we're looking at the way we're serving users, and users are consuming not just legacy and not just new applications, but both, and in different varying qualities and quantities and varieties, and they're mixing it up, we need to be able to scale along with them. vCloud Air really gives our customers and you the ability to create these sorts of functional paradigm shifts, where we're no longer looking at just what exists inside the data center and then what is somewhere else, but to truly have an integrated approach to on-prem and off-prem solutions. Thanks again, as always, for taking the time to join me today. Hope you found value in these sessions, and we look forward to seeing you again soon. Be sure to follow me on Twitter and to connect with your VMware blogs, your local account representatives and engineers, so they can tell you more about these fantastic products.